Ian has his grand prediction how to fix the NBA. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, it's a little bit of an idea that I had just yesterday. I don't know where it came from. I just started thinking, and I got an idea to maybe shorten the NBA season by about 3 weeks to a month, and also hopefully the plan was to make divisions matter a little more. And Jake Schmitz had his idea of just get rid of the conferences, go 1 through 16 in the playoffs. A, that doesn't help divisions at all. And B, one of the reasons they have the East-West playoff structure is so that teams might not have to travel from Toronto to Golden State. That wouldn't be a thing that happens this year in the first round, but say it did in the first round of the NBA playoffs, and waste a lot of time on the plane, get a lot of jet lag going between 3 time zones. It would just be kind of a bad situation for the first round of the NBA playoffs. But anyways, we'll jump into it. Start with the regular season. The regular season, I think, can be cut down by 6 games. I know that's not a lot, but it's about a week and a half to 2 weeks. Right now, the NBA regular season plays 82 games, and I think they can cut that to 76 by simply cutting off the 6 games of the season that I don't know where they come from. Take the Wolves, for example. Say we're making their schedule. The Wolves play 2 games each against each team in the Eastern Conference, which I believe is already what happens, if I'm not incorrect there. So we play 2 games each against the Western or Eastern Conference. That's 30 games. You play 15 teams twice each, 30 games. The other 2 divisions that you are not in, so in the Western Conference, that would be the Southwest and the Pacific, you play each team 3 times in those divisions. That's another 30 games, playing 10 teams 3 times each. That's 60 games on the season. Finally, what I believe they also do already is play each of the teams in your division 4 times. That's 16 games. That's 76 games on the year. I don't know where the other 6 games come from in the NBA schedule. Just random scheduling might be something, but I think that's the way you cut down the regular season by about a week and a half to 2 weeks. And then the playoffs is where it gets pretty confusing. And I think it would only be confusing for the first couple of seasons. There's a lot of moving parts to it, which I think is the only thing that's wrong with it that people would be a little bit deterred from. But other than that, I think it works to hopefully make divisions matter a little bit. And I took a little bit of the NFL playoff scheduling and structure for this. So basically what would happen is all of the division winners get into the playoffs automatically, which, happens pretty much every year in the NBA. Anyways. But we're getting rid of 2 teams in each conference that make the tournament. We don't need 8 teams from each conference. 53% of NBA teams make the playoffs right now. I don't think you should be rewarding the bottom half of the NBA for a mediocre season and getting them into the playoffs. We don't do that in the NFL. We don't do that in baseball. They do that in hockey, but I think in hockey it's a little bit more likely to see upsets. I don't remember the last time we've seen, well, I do remember the last time we've seen a 1-8 upset. It was Memphis over San Antonio. I believe 2012 was the season that happened, and I don't remember the last time before that. So just get rid of the 7 and 8 teams in the conference. And I think the 2 conferences that we have right now, the West and the East, are perfect, set up perfectly right now for what I want to talk about and giving examples of what it would look like. So in the West, it's pretty basic because the 3 top teams in the West each are in a different division. Golden State from the Pacific, Denver from the Northwest, and Houston from the Southwest, right? So those 3 teams get the top 3 seeds, with Golden State and Denver getting byes to the second round. Now you fix this by making the first round only 3-game series. So you're not having a team sit out, like Golden State and Denver wouldn't have to sit out for 2 weeks after the NBA regular season's done. They would only have to wait like maybe a week or so, like an NFL team would have to do, and have a couple of days to rest, maybe get healthy. That's just a thought on that. Like I said, maybe that wouldn't work. But so Houston would get the 3 seed in this scenario, and they would play the worst team that made it in as an at-large team. In this case, the LA Clippers, the 6 seed in the West. The LA Clippers would play Houston in the first round, and the Jazz would play the Portland Trailblazers in Portland. Higher seed gets the home court advantage, obviously. Now, the Eastern Conference this season is perfect for an example of what happens, say, like in the NFL this season. The Ravens got to play a home game against the Chargers. The Ravens had a 3 less wins than the Chargers. The Ravens still got home court advantage because they won their division. They were rewarded for that. Miami Heat are the 8th seed in the East right now. They're under 500. It's not great, but they're leading that division. That's not a good division at all. but the Miami Heat would make it in as the 3 seed and have to play the lowest team in the at-large team. So the Eastern Conference playoffs would look like this. The Bucks right now would be the 1 seed, the Raptors would be the 2 seed, and then the Heat would be the 3 seed, and they would play the Celtics because the Celtics are the lowest at-large team, but the Celtics would still have home court. Like I said, there's a lot of moving parts to this, so I can see how it would be very deterring, and it's just more of a kind of a fan brought up thing, and that's exactly what it is, something that might help. But so this is where it gets confusing, is if this happens where the Miami Heat are leading their division at 8th place in the East. The Miami Heat would get the 3 seed. So then say the Celtics, or say the Heat win, and they're the 3 seed, and they would end up playing maybe the 4 seed. And the 4 seed would still have, later on in the playoffs, the 4 seed would still have a better record. So you reseed it. You reseed the playoffs, giving the, because in this instance, it wouldn't be fair to have the Heat and the Celtics, who are technically, if you look at the standings, the 8 and the 5 seed, playing the 2 seed Raptors, when you have the 3 and the 4 seed technically playing the 1 seed if you're just doing that. So you reseed. The lower record goes to the higher seed. It's just like the NFL. You just reseed simply. And then the playoffs go on from there. It's very confusing from the first to the last aspect of it, but I think it could be something that at least makes divisions matter, because I don't know how else you do it otherwise. I'm curious to see what you guys thought of this. I've seen Shane shaking his head.
Yeah, I'll jump in here quick.
Yeah,
I'm just going to let you know, granted, I'm just going to tell, okay, so this is going to be, okay.
Yeah.
Doing an NBA 2K league actually a month ago with Ben Holler, we did the same thing. This is hilarious. Did the same thing where you make the division winners, and this is what happens. Here's what I put on my notes. What you just said, There's no way this could happen, because what happens when the Miami Heat, the team that you said shouldn't even be in the playoffs, is now the 3 seed, all because they lead their division, but technically they're the 8th best team in the conference. Mm-hmm. So then, what happens when the 2 seed technically has 5 less wins than the 4 seed, all because they won their division? See, that's where I think the only thing you have to just do.
Well, that's why I said you still give home court advantage to the better team. That's what happens in the NFL. We had the same thing happen in the NFL. Nobody had an issue with it.
But
the Chargers had to go to Baltimore and
exactly. You have a problem with that. So then the only thing you're doing is creating a problem with it now in the NBA. You're just bringing the problem from the NFL to here, because now the second best team in the conference could be the 4 seed. So it could literally, and then this is just hypothetical, but let's just
I did think about that.
Let's just get the Warriors, who have that unreal record, like say whatever, so they were even better. They had like 60 wins by now. But say, I mean, this is hypothetical, say the Clippers were the second best team, and they were like technically just far and beyond better, but now they get the 4 seed. I just think right there that immediately makes it not even possible. Like you can't, and the fact that the Heat, who you said take away the bottom 2 teams.
This is an extreme example, because I've never seen it
be
this bad.
Exactly, but that's the NBA, how terrible. Like, I respect that, but honestly, just get rid of divisions. Like, no one even cares about divisions. No one even cares about rivalries in the NBA. No one has for a while. Like, it's only been, I feel like the rivalries has only been the Lakers, Celtics. Like, maybe
even that rivalry's dead.
Yeah, maybe the Knicks and the whoever back in the day. Like, I'm saying,
there's
but I'm back in the day.
Cavs and Warriors for 4 years.
Yeah,
was supposedly a rivalry.
But it was
NBA.
It was only
I will agree with
3.
you that there needs to be, like, if we could figure out a way. But I mean, the only reason I say there's no way it could work is because me and Ben Holler doing the NBA 2K league, and then like the league changes came up, and they're like, oh, make the division winners, and we're like, that actually is that makes a lot of sense. Then Ben was the second best team, only by 1 loss. He was like, or 1 win, could have been the number 1, and that put him all the way on the 4 seed, which is just crazy, because then that 4 seed ends up having to play in the 1 seed right away. You know what I mean?
No, that's why I'm saying reseed it.
Yeah, so it would have to be, your seeding would have to be just changed.
That's the one thing I brought it up.
But
the whole thing is there's so many moving parts to it once you get into a situation like the East is right now. So say the Celtics win and the Sixers win. The Celtics are technically a 6 seed, or no, I'm sorry. Say the Pacers win and the Heat win in the first round of this scenario. The Heat are technically the 3 seed, so they should go play the Raptors, right, the 2 seed, if that's how it's working. But the Heat have a way worse record, so we're going to send the Heat to play the Bucks because that's how it should work based on record. But that doesn't make sense for the seeding. And I think there's something the NBA does right now where if the Heat win their division, don't they already get home court in the first round for winning their division?
I don't think that's the
I swear to God, I saw something like that with Boston and Atlanta a couple years ago, where Atlanta was the 4 seed, Boston won their division, so Boston got the higher seed. It wouldn't make sense in this because Milwaukee also won their division, so
and
can't really
like,
give Miami home court advantage in that situation.
I agree with you said when you say you can't take away the conferences. I mean, as much as I want to, and it's just the simplest thing. You can't because then flying and the playoffs,
just taking out divisions in itself might be an option. Because if this is the only way I've been able to think of that could possibly make divisions matter.
If you could just take divisions out and keep the conferences, that would almost be a better fix. You know what I mean? Because
divisions are basically dead anyways. They really don't.
Yeah, there's just no point to even have a division. But like I am on the boat where what your friend said, but when you rebutted saying that you can't have a team like Toronto
like
flying to Golden State,
Boston and LA. In a 7-game series, and I'm just trying to think of another way to shorten the postseason.
Like you could, and I thought maybe have like an alternative site, but that you can't have that in the NBA. Home court matters so much, so it's like,
and like so in this situation, say mine goes the first round will be 3 games, so the wild card round will be 3 games long. Even make the conference semis 5 games, and then the conference finals and the NBA finals will be 7 games, because the NBA season right now is 82 games, and you could possibly see a team play 28 games if every series of theirs went to 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 3 months. Not really. It's like 2 months, but it's still really long postseason. The NFL is like a month and a half, and that's because we have this irrelevant Pro Bowl game that separates a week from the Super Bowl. So that's the only reason it's even that long.
One thing that so you're saying, but like if say the LA Angels play New York in the playoffs.
Exactly.
That's far. They still have to do it. And granted, it's not a series. It's a 5-game series until it's a 7-game series.
It goes from 5 to 7.
But still, it's still the same type of. I mean,
also the Major League Baseball has it set up differently than the NBA, because Major League Baseball has it set up for the first round of the playoffs. Say that New York had the better records, they got the home field advantage. It'd be 2 in New York, 3 in LA, and then 2 more in New York.
If it was 7 game,
it was
correct?
A 7-game series. Yeah. So
even doing something like that, make it so. I like the fact. If there's a way they
in the 5-game series, it's 2-2-1. Sorry.
Yeah. If there's a way they could make the flying and the flights, I think the best thing is just make it the NBA and make it a 16-team playoff. You know what I mean? Just simply make it, just rank them 1 through 16, because I just think that would almost be more intriguing. You know what I mean? Like I honestly think it would be, but have buys.
In this case, so like put it to 12 teams and just have the top 4 teams get buys.
Sure.
Have a short 3-game series between the first, and then
I like that
rank it through
mainly because like the one. Like you said, that one outlier, the Grizzlies versus Spurs. You're not going to see an 8 seed over 1. It's usually going to be a quick sweep. Especially if you're the Cavs.
And you rarely see the 7-2s either.
Yeah, it's so rare.
I think actually that there was another 1-8, and it was because Derrick Rose went down in the series against Philadelphia.
You're right.
I think Philadelphia won that against the 1-seeded Bulls back then.
You want to see more upsets, you have to shorten up the playoff series, I think.
And I just don't like conference. I think it would be more intriguing seeing a West team play an East team possibly, because like it would just be more intriguing than having to be like, oh well, here we go. It's gonna be the same teams. It's gonna be, because it's almost like we know what's gonna happen in the Western Conference Final. Like what we're just playing to get to the conference finals. Like we know it's gonna be Golden State. Like it's gonna be Golden State in the conference finals. If anyone wants to tell me different, that's funny. But like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But then it's gonna be 2 other teams: the Rockets or
the
Nuggets. And then the other conference now, for the first time in a very long 7 years, it's wide open because a guy left, and now it's wide open. So now people are like, "Oh, it's kind of intriguing to see who could." It took 7 years for people to go, "Well, we might not know who's going to win the East." Like, I think who cares?
Even before LeBron went on his run, Boston was still controlling the East with their big 3. of players.
Exactly,
Too. So
yeah.
this is the first time in a long time that the East is wide open.
I think it'd just be so. I just think it'd be really intriguing to just basically make it like
The
just
Celtics
a giant
are the
tournament.
6th seed right now in the East, and I think the Celtics could be a team that potentially, maybe not, but gets to the conference finals even.
I mean, they
You know,
could,
even
yeah,
if
they
don't
could,
win
they
the
could,
East.
they could end up like just stumbling their way into the conference finals. All of a sudden, they're like, "Whoa!" Everyone believes in the Celtics, and they just, they don't do anything. But like, no, I agree. I just think the biggest problem is that
Is the outlier. The current Eastern Conference is the biggest problem.